Hello, and welcome to Control of the Cell Cycle. Remember that the cell cycle is a set of phases or stages that the cell goes through throughout its life. It consists of growth phases, synthesis phases, and mitosis. Remember that in the cell cycle, you start off with growth phase 1, where the cell is simply growing. Then you have a synthesis phase, where the DNA is duplicated, and a second growth phase, where after the DNA is duplicated, the cell continues to grow. When the cell gets too large, it goes through a process known as mitosis. Mitosis is the process by which the cell divides. You start off with one cell, and it produces two identical daughter cells. Okay, how exactly does the cell know which stage it's supposed to be in? How does it know that it's in the growth phase, or the synthesis phase, or even mitosis? There are certain proteins that help to regulate this. For today's lesson, we have these objectives. First, we will describe the role of enzymes in the regulation of the cell cycle. Then, we will distinguish between the events of a normal cell and the abnormal events that result in cancer. And finally, we will identify ways to potentially reduce the risk of cancer. First, let's talk about the cell cycle and what regulates it. There are certain types of proteins known as cyclins, which help to regulate the cell cycle. Cyclins and a set of enzymes are attached to the cyclin that become activated will tell us what phase that cell is in, whether or not it's in a growth phase or whether or not it's ready to go through mitosis. Okay. Unfortunately, we have a serious problem with cancer in many people. What exactly causes cancer? There are different types of cancer. There's lung cancer, skin cancer, liver cancer, prostate cancer. All of these different kinds of cancers can be deadly, or they can be very harmful to the person or animal that has them. So, what is cancer, and what causes it? Cancer is malignant growth resulting from uncontrolled cell division. Okay, if something goes wrong with these proteins and enzymes that control the cell cycle, that cell is going to become confused. It is not going to know what stage it's in. When this happens, it is possible that that cell will start to divide uncontrollably. When cells start to divide uncontrollably, they start to become cancerous, or they are cancerous. That's what happens in cancer. A cancer develops several cells that shouldn't be there, and that is known as a malignant growth. Okay? This can be caused by several things. It can be caused by environmental factors, or even changes in enzyme production, or just simple changes in these proteins and enzymes that control the cell cycle. Now, let's real quick discuss a gene. Now, you'll get into a gene later on, but a gene is a segment of DNA that controls the productions of proteins. Okay, so you have your piece of DNA here. You have a segment of DNA known as a gene. Okay? A gene controls the proteins that are being made. Okay? They also direct enzyme production. Enzymes are actually a type of protein. If something goes wrong with this gene, then something goes wrong with those proteins, and if something goes wrong with those proteins, you could end up with cancer. Okay? All right, let's talk about how cancer is a mistake in the cell cycle. The causes of cancer. Some of the causes of cancer are either genetic or environmental, which could include UV radiation or smoke inhalation. Also, another cause of cancer could be a viral infection. Okay? Cancer prevention. How do you prevent cancer? Well, first, your diet should be low in fat and high in fiber. Don't eat a lot of fats, but eat fruits, vegetables that are very high in fiber. Okay? Also, make sure you have plenty of vitamins and minerals. Okay? Carotenoids, vitamins A, C, and E, calcium. Exercise daily, and no smoking, guys. Okay? All of these things, if you do them, can help to prevent cancer. Now, is it 100% guarantee that cancer won't happen? No. But you can limit the potential for cancer if you regulate these things. Also, watch out for UV radiation. Okay? Make sure if you are out in the sun that you use sunblock. Sunglasses. They can help. All right, ladies and gentlemen, for today's lesson, we have done these objectives. First, we have described the role of enzymes in the regulation of the cell cycle. We have also distinguished between the events of a normal cell and the abnormal events that result in cancer. Remember that the abnormal events that result in cancer is simply when a cell is dividing uncontrollably. And finally, we have identified ways to potentially reduce the risk of cancer.